your healing process is not just about you. Yes, it is important to you, but we're so much more than just one individual. We've all come here with a divine purpose, traveling on a stream of cosmic dust from the stars into our mother's wombs, born into this precious life. It is no accident that you are here, my love, on earth, in this moment, in this body. You are here longing to find your place, to align with your purpose, to embody your passions and to live into the dreams of your heart. Yet so often we get caught, suspended in the tangle of life, not able to move forward, not able to find solace and comfort in a world that has forgotten the truth of our existence. As we begin to remember, as we peel back the layers, as we come together to uncover our unique gifts and reconnect with our authentic selves, we are able to see another way of being, a new possibility, a different life waiting to be lived. I have experienced on this complicated and wild journey of life that when we connect with the story of our soul, it will show us the magic of this life that we have been missing. It will open a window into the very heart of who we truly are, of who we came here to be, and gives us answers to our ever-asking why. Hello, beautiful souls. Thank you for being here, for sharing your magic, your intuitive gifts, for really going deep on this journey, and especially during this time of the holidays here in the US. It is Thanksgiving tomorrow. Such a beautiful time where we get to really express and be in the energy of gratitude. So I'm sending some your way. If you have not already, check out the link in the show notes to Alchemy, School for the Soul. It is a place where we dive deep into everything spiritual, intuitive, magical, inspirational, just really creating this beautiful space for us to come together, to grow, to learn, to sit in ceremony, ritual, all the things, meditation, lots of things to support your spiritual growth, your spiritual journey. I'm honored to walk this path with you and to be support during these times. There's a link in the show notes. I'd love to have you with us. Classes start in December. As for our show today, Bradley is here with us, and Bradley is working through some repressed childhood trauma that has recently surfaced, and he's looking for guidance on how to be fully present for his wife, for his kids, as he's navigating this really, really deep healing journey that has changed him. And there's no looking back. And I really honor and admire his vulnerability on this call and his willingness to really go into this with me. It is a deeper call. So I just offer the invitation for, if you have your own childhood trauma and abuse, to just really take care of yourself, to pause when you need to allow yourself to be held through this call, knowing that you are, knowing that you're supported and that you are safe and that I love you. So as we dive into this reading, Bradley and I look at how when you keep things separate in this idea of either or, right, this model that we create, that it's really easy to become unbalanced when we have to choose rather than when we allow ourselves to include everything in our lives. We look at the importance of being in your own authentic truth when you are leaning in to support others, because else we can get hijacked, we can get distracted, we can get really pulled into our own patterns and programs. So our own authenticity has to be held. We look at the paradigm of rescuer, victim, perpetrator, and how they form a triangle. And if we are engaging in this triangle, then we are always playing out one of these roles. And in order to see something different, we need to step out of this triangle, because so long as we are engaged in it, we cannot see the truth. And typically our own need for love can be intertwined into this triangle. So it's a beautiful way for us to pull back and get a broader perspective. We look at cleaning your karma through healing yourself and others. And we also talk about the importance of letting your anger have a voice and be processed before trying to forgive and find compassion. That anger is a vitally important part of our process. And we can be engaged in spiritual bypass if we jump to compassion and forgiveness too quickly. This part of us needs a voice. So enjoy this incredibly touching call with Bradley. Hi, Bradley. Welcome to the podcast. How can I help you today?
Hi, Sarah. Thanks. I've been on my own healing journey revolving around some childhood trauma that has been repressed. I became aware of it earlier this year, and I'm kind of caught in a spot where I want to be able to make myself available and be fully present to my partner and my kids while simultaneously respecting my healing journey.
Yeah, beautiful question. Thank you. So you're showing me your body, and I see the top half of your body to right about your chest level where your heart would be, right? Your heart chakra and your physical heart. And then there's a delineation. There's like this crack is the way that it looks. And then there's the lower part of your body. And I see it as very shadowy. And in this image, right? Like just that sensation of that your body is holding this trauma. And the upper part of you, right, the higher self, is engaging in life, is trying to be available, is showing up for your family, is doing these things. But I see them as divided. And so it makes sense that you're feeling this way. It's just even the way that you're holding it is coming through that way. So let me see where we want to go with this. So when I tune into you and that image, there's a lot of stagnation in this lower part of your body. And that is very common when we go through large and difficult childhood wounding and trauma. And I see it wanting to come up. And it's making its way. Like the work that you are doing is shifting things. And I see it like lava, where it probably feels pretty hot and pretty alive as you're looking at it, right? And that is bubbling and boiling up. So one of the things as humans we can tend to get caught in is this idea of either or. And our world is set up this way. Our psyches are set up this way. Marketing is set up this way. Our jobs, everything says you have to choose. You have to either do this or this, and you can't have both. So here you go, choose. And it keeps us very caught in this place of we think we have to choose. Whereas what I experience when we allow ourselves to expand a little is that we do have the capacity to hold both. This is the truth of who we are as divine beings. So this is a lot to share. I'd love to hear, before we continue, just how that's landing, what you see in that, and what you're making with that so far.
I'm encouraged that you feel that I have the capacity. I guess from my perspective, at times, I recognize opportunities for me to give myself completely to, say, my partner when she's struggling with certain things. I get these thoughts in my head where it's like, she needs me now. Like she's been doing an amazing job over the past few months, supporting me, making sure that my needs are taken care of, that she's taking care of the kids, just giving me space to heal. And there are moments when it's very palpable where I feel it's like she needs me to do the same to her now. But I'm caught thinking like, oh, does that mean that I'm not going to be able to continue on my healing because I'm making good progress and it feels good. But inside it feels like I do have the choice. It doesn't feel like I can do both, which is odd.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, it's not insignificant, right? That you have your own children And then now here is this particular time, this particular moment for your healing to get deeper, right? You had all these years ahead of time when this could have potentially happened, but it didn't, because now is the divine time. Now is the time that this is intended to happen, or it would have happened some other time.
Yes, and I totally agree. And I love that it comes up when you're ready for it. And I fully believe that. My partner is amazing. Without her, I don't think I'd be even on this healing journey. So that's probably another reason why I'm so in tune and wanting to support her as well.
Mm-hmm. So I'm seeing a set of scales, right? And it's this idea that the way that it's set up in the way that you're speaking is that the scale either has to be all the way weighted to one side or all the way weighted to the other side. Am I understanding that correctly?
That's how I feel, yes.
So the magic is in when both sides are even, right? Where the balance happens. And I think that we have this tendency inside us to over support each other. And this is a beautiful thing. And yet we have to have this ability to create the space inside ourselves first. And then from this place, we can then give to others. And it's when we really nurture and honor this place inside you with what you need, it's going to give you the ability to know how to regulate that place. But right now there's this dynamic, this beautiful part of you that wants to just rush out and now give everything because you've been receiving. And sometimes that's okay, right? Like we all need that. Sometimes the scale is tipped. But like you're experiencing, this is not long sustaining. Like it can't just keep doing this because then you don't have the space that you need.
Mm-hmm.
I think some of it too, or what I'm seeing, right, is this where it gets wrapped up in all or nothing. And that there's this tendency where you think that you're not healing in those moments that you're serving and helping.
Mm-hmm.
Like who is saying that, right? Yeah. By you putting your healing just to the side for a moment while you can support somebody else, why is that not part of your healing? Why is it separate?
Mm-hmm. Like that makes perfect sense. I just wish that there was some way that I could embrace that so that when I do get those thoughts, that I could maybe remind myself or just keep it in the forefront that I don't have to choose. It's okay. Having the capacity to do both doesn't always have to be me or someone else.
Mm-hmm. What I see in those moments too, when you are going to help, it's like you're shifting out of your authenticity. And not that you're not being true and genuine in your supporting and your helping, but it's like this part of you thinks that you can't be fully you inside of that role. So if you're the supporter, then it's like you have to put on this costume and walk over there and leave everything you've done behind and stand in the role. I am the supporter now. What do you make of that when I say that?
As we were talking, like I was getting just feelings and thoughts of how my tendency to over support, it feels like somewhat unnatural, like I'm compensating for something. And obviously I don't know how this may or may not tie into the trauma that I'm going through. But when you said not part of my authentic self, it definitely resonated as true, that there's some level of compensation going on that I don't know if it's related to love, security, I don't know. But I definitely feel that you're on the right path.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like you have to take on this other sort of way of being in order to, like, your definition of what being a supportive husband and father is misaligned with actually who you are and what true support is correct for you.
When you said that, the misalignment, I can see it a little bit more clearly in the sense that my for example, my parenting style, it's not to over support my kids. It's more to let them make their own mistakes, be more of a guide than just someone who's there to take them through every step of the way. Generally, my default is to let them do it, let them fail, and that's okay. Like, kind of be there to pick up the pieces rather than just kind of rush in and help. And so, your comment about misalignment, to me, it's like, yeah, like that's how I feel my authentic self is. It's more that style. But I do have a strong tendency to want to jump in and just save someone, save whether it's my partner or my friends or something like that. If they're in trouble, that hero mentality just kind of takes over in a way. And I think that's why it feels like it's an all or nothing, because I kind of have to, like, feels like I have to give everything to try and help that person, support that person, save that person.
Yeah, you take on the role of the rescuer rather than the supporter, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so when you're in the role of a rescuer, you're disempowered. You're disempowered. The people you're helping are disempowered. The whole situation meshes into this. Somebody's a victim, and I got to rush in and help them.
Yeah.
So in that place, it would be super hard to support yourself in your healing because you just really stepped out of like the truth of a situation, right? Where you're empowered in your healing and you're empowered on your journey. And these other people are actually benefiting from you on this journey. But then you shed all that, hurry up, and I'm going to now be the rescuer. And you could see how in that place, there isn't a space for this tender part of you that's like left behind in that.
Mm-hmm. I definitely feel that over the past several months, like I have become better at not being the rescuer. I think I've made a lot of progress. Obviously, not as much as I want to be, but yeah, I don't know why, but as we've been talking, like I just keep getting these feelings that a lot of this behavior is related to. It feels like I'm not lovable if I'm not there for other people. I don't know. I don't know why I feel this, but it's just. I know it's not the truth. You know, I have people in my life who love me, but I've got this deep-seated fear or something that's kind of leading me to be that person that rushes and tries to help other people, to validate maybe myself, if that makes sense. I know it's kind of a curveball here.
No, it makes so much sense, right? And I appreciate you being so honest with yourself and with me and allowing yourself to be vulnerable in this space, because this is where things change, right? This is where the truth gets to be witnessed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and when we're young, right, it is a basic human need of survival to be loved and cared for and to be safe. And when we don't receive that, our whole being gets built upon this need to find love and safety.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's definitely where I feel I'm at.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so it would make sense, right, to this little boy inside you that wasn't rescued, right? He was harmed. He was hurt. Nobody was there to rescue him. It would make sense that you just really, really, really want to rescue the people that you love from harm.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I also want to save myself.
Mm-hmm. And you can.
Mm-hmm.
Do you need to get a tissue or anything?
No, I've got some handy, thank you.
Okay. I see your little boy standing there reaching his hand up to you. And it's this energy of like, we've got this together. It's okay.
Mm-hmm. I can see it.
Yeah. There's a way through. And the way through is doing what you're doing, right? Turning towards support. Because it would be so easy to just distract yourself, to just push it down, to just go on in your patterns and pretend that it's going to be okay, right?
Mm-hmm.
And yet you're not. You're showing up for the hard ride.
Yeah. But at the same time, I'm also aware that life is short. I've got young kids. I don't want to be just looking at myself and only looking at my healing. And I think that's where my original question came about, is that I want to respect what I'm doing in the journey I'm on. But then I don't want to lose that time where I can make like a really meaningful connection with my kids, like a foundation for a lifelong relationship. And so it's, a lot of it is wanting to have with my kids what I didn't have. And that's like a parent that sees them, that loves them, will protect them. And it's a small window, right? They're young right now. They won't be young forever. And so that's where, having the capacity to do both.
Well, how do you perceive yourself as stopping yourself from having what you want with your children?
It's hard because it takes time and a lot of mental energy, emotional energy when I'm dealing with different images and stuff from my childhood, processing that sometimes I just feel like it prevents me from being present in those moments when I'm interacting with my kids, because I'll get thoughts that come in, or I'll get other things that come in because my kids, they're at the age where I was abused. And so it's just, sometimes it's hard to separate those. It'll come in unexpectedly. And I want to be able to either give myself space to experience that, because I know that's important to healing, but at the same time, it takes away from my genuineness in my interactions with my kids.
Mm-hmm. I can see that. This is newer for you from what I understand. And
yes,
yeah, it makes a lot of sense, right? That it's the age your kids are. Like, this is how it works.
mm-hmm.
And so a couple things. One, remember that your kids chose you. They knew what they were coming here to be part of. They signed up for that. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So they get this as souls. They're here to help you, right, with this. The other thing is, I think sometimes we can put this really big expectation on ourselves of how we have to be present and with our kids all the time. And so I think that there's this space for, you could really carve out absolute quality time with them and are fully in it with them, rather than expected to be fully present all the time. And this doesn't have to be for always, but this could be for now, right? While it's acute for you, where these are carved out times where you're going to show up and you're going to walk through it. And then it means that then you have some other time by yourself that maybe you're just in the same room with them, but you're not fully needing to give them your presence. And then the other thing is, I think you just need some tools, right? If the images are coming up and they're overtaking you and you're getting caught in the trauma, it just means that you need some tools and you need just some deeper places to process. And those will help you be able to be in the moment. And then also what's dropping in is compassion for yourself.
I remind myself frequently that I love myself. I was a child. There was not anything I could really do. It's not an easy path, but it's a path worth undertaking. And I get these images sometimes of kind of like a future me where I've kind of gotten past the harder parts, and I can just feel the relationships with my family and loved ones is so much deeper. A lot of times that's what kind of keeps me going, is just that image of the connectedness that I have with my kids and my partner.
Mhm. Yeah.
Can I ask, like, are you able to see, am I on the right path? Am I doing the right things from my energy or the spirits?
So, yes, you're on the path. You're embracing it. You're diving deep. Where I see you could use some support. So, obviously, trauma support to
Mm-hmm.
move through. Yet, more and more, what I experience is that trauma lives in the energetic field.
Mm-hmm.
And so, having support in clearing, like moving the trauma, right? Like when we go back to that initial image where the lava is boiling inside you. When we're so hurt and disempowered in our childhood, our energetic body doesn't have the chance to form the way that it needs to form. And abuse creates a lot of distortion for our bodies that then, right, your soul is and your spirit are trying to live inside of. So it feels that there's a number of different paths, right? There's the mental, emotional piece for you, there's the energetic piece. And then there's the integration, is the way I see it, of how you're bringing it all together. And I see you being helped by multiple people, not just
Mm-hmm.
one person.
No, no, definitely.
Yeah. And it's like letting your heart guide you to what is right for you. Like, you know, deep inside, right? There's a knowing in you. Even if you, Bradley, right now doesn't know, you, Bradley, as a soul knows.
Mm-hmm.
And let that guide you. Let that inner you guide you to where that support is. And the other thing too that's dropping in, right, that can help in these bigger sort of places that we find ourselves in is that we came to Earth to clear karma. So you are in a process of not just clearing your own karma, you're clearing it for your wife, you're clearing it for your kids. Your healing process is not just about you. Yes, it is important to you, but we're so much more than just one individual. And so if you get in those places where it can start to feel really hard and you can feel like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I can keep going, right? That overwhelm. It can really help to expand out and remember that this is such a bigger topic and that you're threaded through so many people and your journey is in support of them as well.
With my counselor, I've done a couple psychedelic journeys, and the ties with everything is, you feel it in every fiber of your soul, how you're connected to everything on earth, the trees, other people. There's such an interconnectedness that's impossible to ignore. And so I can definitely see that from an energy perspective, it's the same thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, where would you like to go from here?
I mean, I've become more in tune with my intuition over the past few months. I respect it more, I listen to it more, and I do consider that to be where I want to go in terms of my guiding principles, is to let my body decide. So that part is good. And it's the fact that you've mentioned that I can trust that part of me is also a nice reinforcement. I mean, it's kind of off topic, but I do sometimes get thoughts of my mom, who was my abuser, because she was still living. And I kind of am caught between not wanting anything to do with her, and then other moments where it's just like a recognition that she didn't have a choice either. She grew up in foster care. She was sexually abused. My logical part of my brain says like it was not her fault. But at the same time, it's just, I'm not ready to accept that. And so I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to say other than I would like to think that there is a time when I'm able to face her again and just to be able to let her know that, like, yeah, it wasn't her fault. I'm not blaming her. Like, my healing journey necessitates a certain amount of separation. And for right now, it's total. But I don't blame her, even though I can't really see a picture of her and that sort of thing. But I do understand that it's not her fault and I don't blame her. But it's not something that I can easily just dismiss and go and hang out with her or anything like that.
Mm-hmm. So I'm going to offer something here, and I'm very willing to be wrong with this, okay? So whatever's correct for you. But when I feel into that, I feel like this idea of not blaming her at this point in your journey could trip you up a bit.
Okay.
I think that it's okay to love her as a human that did some things that were not okay. But when I feel into the part of you that wants to say you don't blame her, I get like a wild feeling in the middle of my gut. Like the part of you inside is so mad. And if you go to not blaming, that part isn't going to get a chance to hear a voice, to have a voice in this. And I think it's okay to blame her. She messed up. She has reasons, and we can like find compassion for her humanness, but she messed up. And you get to be mad. That will change, right? But it feels very important. It feels connected to the lava, right? Inside you, that it's important for that part of you to have a voice and be expressed.
I would love to be able to let that happen, because what you're saying resonates with me. When I started the journey, I was very repressing one thing. I repressed everything. And so my ability to cry was kind of removed and restored over the past few months. So I can express certain emotions a lot more freely. They flow a lot better. Anger is one that I've felt that I've got it in me, but I haven't found a mechanism to void that, just get rid of it, to get it out. And yeah, maybe part of it is because I'm constantly trying to remind myself that actually, it wasn't her fault, as opposed to just letting things come up. So that's really nice to hear. Just having that permission, yeah, that might make a difference for me going forward.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and having a healthy place for that anger to come out. And also, you don't need her to be any part of it. Expressing that anger doesn't need for you to have a conversation with her. You can find, right? Like you can do it on your own. That's one of the things with our healing, that sometimes we get caught in thinking, well, we have to tell the other person something, or we need to hear something from them. I don't agree. We can do it all within ourselves and with external support, right? But you don't need to reach out to her to be able to process your anger.
Yeah. And I think that there's a big part of me that, even though I've been saying it's not her fault, there's a big part of me that is blaming her.
And you get to right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Is there anything else?
I think that's a lot for me to think on. I appreciate you taking the time and everything. And yeah, I think I need time to just let this sit, just with the things that you've said and the things that I've thought about, process it a little bit to kind of identify what I want to do with it at that point.
Well, thank you. Does this feel like an okay place for us to land today?
Yeah,